But do you feel that you have to take on some of those jobs in order to fund some of the other things? Because one of the biggest problems with the internet right now is...
Thank you. Wow, we need the kid here to tell us that you got to make a living. That's beautiful.
That's where the money is. You're absolutely right.
We used to call it video production. Yeah. Now you have all these people on the web going, I make films, I make films, I make films. Okay, well, we're going to call all this new media. I don't know.
New media is good.
Okay, new media. Yeah, that's what you probably call it. So in my time, which makes me sound like a million years old, but I started off doing weddings. Then I got into corporate video. I bought my own gear, had a production company. We did a lot of fashion work, then corporate work. Then we got into more of this documentary type stuff. But it wasn't like now where there are a million kinds of entertainment. You couldn't make an independent movie. It just wasn't done, unless you were John Cassavetes, of course, you know. I cut my teeth on weddings. I learned how to storytell by doing weddings.
Nice narrative arc. They come in, they get married, they leave.
I've shot 3 weddings for friends, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done. By far.
Absolutely,
absolutely
man. The pressure is
because
enormous.
You can not miss anything.
Not a thing.
Absolutely. Like, do you mind doing that thing with the ring again? I kind of missed that.
You figure out what you want to do. If you're the kind of guy who goes, I want to shoot everything, I'll just shoot everything out there. That's a really good way to go if you're a shooter. I know for me, I was a writer first, so I started writing. I wanted to then make the things I wrote.
No film school.
No film school.
No film school, but I'm the head of the department.
Currently in film school.
And in masters, right?
No, it's just a 2-year program.
Oh, 2-year program. Okay, so somebody comes to me and they say, okay, I want to work on one of your productions. You know, I used to get this thing that I would just love, where they'd come, I have a master's degree in film, and I'm like,
so what? Yeah.
And they'd be like, what do you mean so? I mean, I went to the School of the Art Institute. I'm like, so? Let's see your reel. It only really matters what the reel looks like.
We say that every single day. We say that at our incoming student meetings. It depends on your reel. Your reel, your resume, that's it. And we were saying this too. No one has ever asked me what school I went to, what my grade point average was. They want to see what my work is, except for hiring to be a teacher.
I kind of lied a little bit. I did take a class at Columbia College. It was an editing class. Actually, I took 2 classes. I forgot now. I took a lighting class and a editing class. And a lot of what I do comes from those 2 classes I took.
I think a good aesthetics or theory class is really helpful too. Just so you watch a lot of films and see the common threads, how they're telling stories. Yeah. I mean, best film school you have is watching lots and lots of movies and really watching them closely. Like reading books. I mean, you want to, read books, you'll learn a lot about literature.
But some instruction is important.
Yeah.
Tutelage of a mentor or...
I think that's the key, is that depending on your avenue, you have to immerse yourself around it in order to learn, whether it's going to school or, getting direct to the industry.
Yeah, exactly.
I started in the news business and as a sound recordist, and you'd be partnered with a cameraman. And I was lucky enough to have some very, very talented cameramen to work with, and they taught me some great things. And there were some others who weren't so great. And they were being taught, the sound recorders who were working with them, their really, really bad habits, and that's how they learned. And I do think going on some of these courses, not necessarily going to film school, but as you say, going on some lighting courses and things like that are worth their weight in gold.
Well, you need to learn. I mean, you can't expect to do anything if you haven't been trained either by a school or by on-the-job training.
Viewing with professionals.
Something. You need years and years and years behind you, so that I know if I hire you to go on a gig, I know that you're going to be able to do what I need you to do. I mean, I'm personally not working with a DP who's under 35 years old. It's just not going to happen. I need to know I have that experience. So my advice to young people is go out there and get that experience. You can't expect to be DPing on a very high-end project from day one. You just don't. You have to make 100 million mistakes that you haven't made yet.
I messed up hundreds and hundreds of times in my career, and because I was working for a company and staff, they couldn't really fire me. So I managed, but if I was a freelancer, and they wouldn't hire me again. Yeah. So you've got to know what you're doing before you sell yourself for something. Yeah, definitely.
The piece of advice I'm going to give you, and it's something that Jens and I do. It's not something that we sort of formally do, but we do it. After we finish every single shoot, and we've done 500-600 shoots, we always kind of just say, okay, what do we learn from that? In 500 or 600 little ditties, I don't think there is one that we did not make mistakes on, that we didn't learn from. And it's always different.
Everybody brings something to it, and you learn from people all the time. I'm going to learn an enormous amount on this trip, working with this new team of people. So, it's every job you do, you learn something, and
Right.
I really enjoy that.
I was shooting a thing a couple of years ago, and the boom operator, the mixer, who was a sort of all-in-one guy on the job, was a former student of mine from like 8 years earlier, and he showed me a simple booming technique, and he said, aim for the heart as opposed to the mouth. And I went, I just went to Steven there. I went, And sure enough, ever since then, I've always aimed for the heart. And just that little thing, like, wow. And he was a student of mine.
I think, along with the internet and everything, that it's changing now in the fact that there are these huge message boards and forums and interactions with people. Yeah. And you really can get on there. And there's some stuff you have to weed through. But suddenly, you're connected to hundreds of people who are in this profession. And you get, you may get, 8 different answers.
And it's with time you get to know who to trust and who talks rubbish. Absolutely.
But I wouldn't even know you if it weren't for these forums and message boards and whatnot. So it kind of creates a lot of these friendships.
I wouldn't be here working if it wasn't for them.
I'm one that's absolutely in love with the internet. I think if I were 18 and starting out, that would be it's everything, it's everything. It's a TV, it's a communication device.
Can learn so much. I mean, absolutely, just